The unspoken atrocity that we currently live in is euphemisms, and euphemisms that are exactly like actions, but there's not a word for it either. The situation here is that there is a word for this rhetorical device called euphemism, where someone somewhere says something less harmful so that you don't feel as bad, but they mean the same thing and pursue the same goal, such as, hey, let's not be racist, but by saying let's not be racist, they still are. The other sort of situation is taking the action. So let's say someone sits there and has a history of being a physical or domestic abuser. He still in his mind sort of uses his black magic to continuously use this domestic violence on this person and becomes a perpetrator. And here are 5 things we could do about it. Here's number 1. Using your copyright privileges and your social media outlets is the perfect way to deal with euphemisms. Now, euphemisms are particularly about letting you know that something is particularly in our interest, but we don't want you to necessarily pursue your interest because ours, or if I make quotes, my personal interests are more important than yours. For example, my personal interests are to earn some cash for using YouTube, and this is the whole purpose of me using this social media outlet. I can use that to pursue my interests and present you information and knowledge, and if you take it or not is up to you. So that sort of information is why you should also produce your own content. Producing your own content will give you a subtle edge in being able to destroy the competition and put out your own statures out, because you're expecting the good people of the world with the capacities of good and decent mindsets to be able to handle your implications to life and the economy that we agreed upon. Most things that are unfortunate, which is why I mentioned earlier, like the racial things, are unable to be agreed upon or disagreed upon because it happens to have identity related to a culture. Like, let's say the euphemism was, let's not be racist, but he's actually racist. Or let's say that, oh, I don't like his hair color, but he's actually really racist. And that is some sort of other sort of diction and related tone thing that you can look into and benefit yourself if you really pursue it. Another sort of reason why you would want to use social media outlets, because if you think about it, a lot of people, when home security of their home, they are developing rhetoric and personalities and an aura to really come across of in the public and say that, hey, I was in my room doing this and this and making sure that I could achieve my goals because I personally don't like this culture or this group of person or this group of people or this person that I'm currently exercising or coming off as an action for. A similar action to what a euphemism is literally the United States government surveillance system. They have their greater interest throughout the world saying that they want to pursue their human rights systems, but their human rights system is also hypocritical because they undermine minority men by giving minority women more power, so long as minority women listen to the majority men, which are white Americans. And this is why you should use your social media outlet, because 1, you can gain traction, 2, you can show that you have a recording of your experiences and your expertise based off euphemisms and how to deal with it, and 3, you can also get it monetized, and 4, potential employers might look at it and say this guy's pretty good, so long as it is big enough that it would make a difference, which is why I need you to hit that like and subscribe, and you'll be able to really accumulate a lot of wealth in the future. This is a long-term project. Here's number 2 to dealing with the consistent atrocities of America and euphemisms. That is to use your paper and pen all the time. Now, you might not have a sort of understanding to what this whole culture means with all the social media, electronics, and the cloud, but you do know that your companies that you utilize in your apps and your devices have this ability to store and use your information because you signed the agreement. So what you should do is use something that they could never see or you never took a picture of or video of, and just make sure that you use that, and that's a pen and paper. Pen and paper is really gold to privacy because you can really get away from the whole situation and put your own interests out there good and fast. The moment you thought of work into a piece of paper, it is yours, and you can hide that from anyone, even burn it away, and know what was written even after you burned it away. It is similar to social media, but social media is something sharing that everyone will recognize that is particularly you, and they'll respect it if they are sort of in the mindset to also be productive. from my experience, if you've seen someone who's not productive or they've given out too much to the world, they'll possibly inherit your personalities and try to start monetizing off of that. Using a pen and paper is important because if you look at what you can do with a piece of paper, you can draw, you can do this, and you can create some innovation that will help you in the future, like I have in my P-Color Advisor, which is all done on paper, and then I use some of my coding background to develop it and help people choose the right colors for their outfits and even search for them. I've also written some books, and you should check them out in the description below. It's important to deal with euphemism like this because in your papers you ultimately know your unilateral thought, which is with the whole world and their decisions of how they should be perceiving you. You should be perceived, but you also have your personal safe room that is also going to be administered when you write the paper, and that is secret to you and it's something that you can understand. I'm sure there are many secret services that can utilize this sort of note-taking that you have, such as we all know the surveillance system is going to look at if you have some sort of terrible atrocities planned, but you might have some thoughts about the US always pursuing the interest, and you might find this channel interesting because it has to do with competition, because ultimately the US policies that run human rights and Apple and Google are from America, and you might not like it because it doesn't let your country compete with whatever the US is doing. And the US has the military, like I mentioned in previous videos, to back their interests up, which is a euphemism to say, hey, we're backing our interests up with our military and our euphemisms, and our companies are going to stay number one. And that's a euphemism, and the action is taking surveillance, and the surveillance is also saying, we're just surveilling you because we want to make sure our American interests are good, but we don't want you to necessarily become any sort of information that will be number one to compete with us, because we want to hold the money. And on top of it all off, America prints all the money, and it's the strongest dollar, according to Great Britain and Great Pound and the Euro. A little bit less, but it is very strong. And here's number 3. Advise someone basically that's not related to the euphemism that's going on and what's related to the euphemism that's currently spoken about. So let's say, for example, we're all talking about how we should not invest in this company because it is not too great, but everyone's talking about how this company is great. You would say, hey, this company looks like it should need some renovations in the outdoor, let's not go to it. But at the same time, you can also say, hey, let's go to this store and just get a piece of straw and from the counter, and we'll just walk out. That is sort of saying we'll support the business by going in, and we'll also not go out support it because we'll go out without buying anything. And we'll also have a walk and say, hey, we don't want to go there because we don't like this company's interest. Giving advice to some sort of situation, after all, we've all experienced euphemisms. I've experienced euphemisms all day, especially when the euphemism at hand is the historical context that we've all dealt with. In school we learned about colonization and other things, but now we can talk about how in the past 5 years, in the brand new age of internet, we've all been called racial slurs, and that's been talking about and agreed upon. And the small situations like going to the store and having a strange look, being judged if you are this sort of characteristic the internet has discussed and agreed upon to be true, is sort of the euphemism here, and that euphemism is backed by majority vote, and that vote was to say that, hey, India is also a bad trade partner and will also give them tariffs. Bangladesh is another one because we don't want to give them some sort of terrible idea that we're terrible people, so we'll just tariff them and we'll just let them know euphemistically, hey, we kind of don't like you guys and we like these people. It's important for euphemisms because euphemisms are in the workplace, and if you don't follow the right euphemisms, you won't get hired, which is why it's sort of important to actively know about them. Now, if you are in a circle where you can achieve information or attain information because they know the euphemisms that can help you and they don't know the euphemisms, but they are sort of in a position to tell you, hey, you don't have enough information to help me because I'm giving you the information that comes from us, and we are sort of knowing the information that makes you unfit for a job. Well, this is why I say number 3, just give advice and give information on what you could do, because ultimately if you write down paper and you have social media, you have 2 things that can back your resources of you saying something that will give you advice based off whatever's going on, and people being astringent but letting you off as a thank you guy, something like that, or thank you her woman and Hermione, things like that, or Rajashan or whatever Raj, things like that are all around the world on the internet, and they ultimately decide if you can get a job, because the skills that affect you in the job workplace will ultimately decipher who you are, or the interviewer will decipher who you are based off these questions. And if it looks like you're dealing with these sort of racial hierarchies and euphemisms, then you probably won't get the job. Number 4 is an easy one, but it just costs a little bit of money, and that is to copyright something, even if it is only 50 words. You might have to come across a huge amount of libraries to say that you are prolific or in very conditioned to speak, but if you copyright something, well, the whole United States system that the libraries that you should attain and read to give you information and knowledge based off subjects is now a part of you, because you've contributed to the vast database that they are copyrighting. Now, it only costs $50, and I'm not endorsed by it or promoting it, but if you do copyright something, it will be noted in the American history, and it might be discussed whether they should adopt it into American culture or not, or just leave it to your culture. Either the option to promote the text and tone and syntax into American culture or your culture, but if you do that, you're still registered with the American culture, which is a powerful copyright system that we all know and love, because yoga is one of the white American things, and all the other Kama Sutra meditation translated English is also white, so I suppose you can just transliterate everything and copyright it into Indian, and it'll be Indian. Except there's a military, and that sort of euphemism is letting you know that that won't be happening. Now, if neither of those 4 are hitting your buttons with the euphemism dealing with or the atrocities of America, you can always stick to religion and law. Law and religion are somewhat safe because they don't change and they are usually consistent, but things like the updations of the Bible and the Old Testament, those things get updated, but there are a few religions who are consistently the same and they are reliable, and a lot of arrogant people with euphemisms say, hey, these are these groups of people, and they are very reliable in being able to produce money because they don't change too often. Which is why I'm leaving it number 5th, because you can just stick with that and just study your own religions and you won't be affected by it, because the US government is also a government with religion. They believe in God, and it's on the dollar note, and you can completely just understand that they have people somewhere to know that every single religion in the world is a cohesive religion that is not resembling of the devil. Now, the whole situation with religion and law is that people can be euphemistic about it too, but it is something consistent. If you're trying to get some prospective ideas and clients based off what is your current market research, you won't be able to do it so often because people are different. But with religion, you have something backing. And I personally don't indulge in that because I like looking for prospective material, because I'm fighting off the whole euphemistic racism that we've all discussed for the past 7 years on the internet, or 10 years, and I currently don't like whatever's going on with yoga and the professionalism that is undermining Indian men, because Indian men are so pathetic, if I may quote. Religion is easy to understand, but it might be difficult, especially if they don't want you to achieve your goals and want you to believe that God is money, and tell you that you won't be necessarily achieving all of it, but you'll get something enough for you to produce the economy into a fulfilling one that is number 1, and that is competition. As a euphemism to tell you that, hey, God's word says that we want money, and God is love, and money is God. But we don't want you to have all of it because we don't care, and we are completely number 1. Now, I'm making this video. If you like those 5 steps, then thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and thank you for liking. I'm making this video because ultimately it is competition and unrelated to many other things, but it is the foundation and rudimentary foundation to having a decent conversation and laughing about it, because that is what's been dominating the world for the past 1 or 2 centuries or past 200 years. It is imperative to completely know these situations, because someone somewhere will say that, hey, this guy doesn't know this, so I can get some and not let him do that. Or she's gonna say, hey, this guy doesn't know, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go there, put some high heels on, and really get everyone in on it. It is a terrible place, but it is a culture that everyone has accepted because it is very exciting. I personally don't indulge in it because, well, I'm sort of interested in studying a little bit more and a little bit more aggressiveness, and wanting to just stay on my bed and sleep and have the energy to do what I want, and that is all the arts and crafts and social media and videography. and once in a while have enough resources to get married, but that's being combated with the ability to say what is accepted from the Indians or the Indian subcontinent, because we all know Pajit is something like this and blah blah blah. If you disagree with the Pajit part, hit that like and subscribe, but if you do, hit that like and subscribe, because that is something all videographers do. It's a euphemism, and we have someone we don't like. Closing, it's because we all want to get some, we all want to achieve our goals, and if you hit that like and subscribe, you might be able to achieve your goals. What the channel is about, competition, and making sure we have the information to compete and destroy competition and become number one, because that is the goal of society and humanity, civilization, mankind, economy, to be number one and have the best possible solutions. And I have the websites in my description and my social media contact. You can connect with me there. Thanks so much and have a great day.